It's like, huh? So gets aware of something. And there I put the screen just before. And then he is like, and then he turns around and he makes, and there we can put on everything we think. So we have this enormous thing of blank picture where we put our stories on. That is in fiction film often a great thing. That you have moments sometimes where you as audience can be also director and you can be creative and put your own story on. And then you just go with him, and when he's laying there, we can think a lot of things he also put in. And so what I wanted to suggest in also with this is when we edit, we get footage. Now I will just talk first about fiction editing. I have colleagues, they just read always, when they edit a scene, they read the script. I say, the script is for me only interesting at this point where I have to decide, do I want to make the film or not? Then I read it, and then, not because I don't like the script, because when I'm editing, I don't handle with the script. I can only deal with the footage. The good thing is sound. We can always deal much more also around. Normally, the footage, the images, they are just what we have. Sometimes it's allowed to make some reshoots or to organize, some footage from, from some archives or whatever. In fiction is very rare. And then I really do like this. I just take the footage and I behave like I don't know nothing. That means, for sure the editors know this sentence. You are the first audience of this footage. So, what is audience doing? Title, great actor, great actress, maybe also great director. But then it's done. Sometimes they watch the teaser, and sometimes they read something about the story. But normally, you don't know so much about the story. So you just watch the footage. And in a way, you have to be as clean as the guy here. You don't know what he thinks, what he feels, because then you get the impact the footage is doing for you. You have to check what tells the footage, what story is the footage telling me. It's not about what I think it should be, because when we watch footage, almost each of us, he brings his own background, he looks at it a bit different. That we also had here, because it's also a question of culture. I look different on some things in your country, because I don't know the rules, I don't know the commitments you have, but there are normally some kind of, all over commitments we can work on. We know somebody who's laughing is happy, or he's laughing sarcastically, then maybe he's not happy. But also we can, divide between what it is. And then it's like we just have this look on the footage. And I always say, I don't talk with the footage, I listen to it. So footage actually tells me what story I want to tell. And it's not the other way around. First. And this also, the process of editing, I always say we are all somehow a bit schizophrenic. Yeah, so we are always at least 3 people. Just in one, that's the funny thing about our job. We are audience. We sit here, we watch, we don't know. Okay. Then we start to build up the story. And in fiction films, it's much clearer, the story. In documentary, it's much harder to build up the story, because in documentary it's much more what is in the situation, what's the center of the situation, what is it telling, and then you have there in documentaries I make always of all the rock footage I get, I make little bricks, and then I name it, actually like what is in. What is the squeeze of this scene? That you make in documentary, I make in documentary. And then I have, in the end, you know, a huge, how to say, hill of bricks, and then I start to build the house. I don't just know how the house is in the beginning, because I don't know, do I have the door, do I have the window, do I have the brick to build it? So I always, by documentary film editing, I always start first to build the elements which I can use afterwards for the story. In fiction, of course, you edit the scene, and in fiction is also different that you can shape much more. Is it the protagonist more like this or more like that? That's the main difference between documentary filmmaking. In documentary filmmaking, you create bricks, and then you go and try to build a house, means a story. And in fiction, mostly the story is given, and then you take your scenes, and then you shape much more on the characters. You can make them like here. Of course, he is a bit nasty because we see a bit of this longing to punish her. But she didn't do it. Actually, she refused to do it. But you can really make a nasty person out of it. And it's the same guy, same pictures, same whatever. And it's often in fiction is very little changes. Do you give him the smile in the end? Do you give her the look in the end? Or is she reacting with, leaning back or leaning forward? That's changed the character. And so fiction editing is much more in the details. Sometimes you also have to reorganize your scene because it's not working. Because there is a huge difference between reading something, because we have a great brain. Whatever is missing, we just put in the end the story works. And then you shoot, and then you put it like in script, one by one, and then you see, I don't get, I have a missing link, or it doesn't feel good, it comes too early. Or this guy should react later on, or she should go here earlier, she should react much quicker. So then you have to look at it, again like an audience, and just feel what is telling you. And then comes person number two. Person number two is the one who tries to find out what's the problem is, why it's not working the way you would like to have it. So why, for instance, we had a project, there was a family situation, and there was an old man, a middle-old lady, a middle-old man, and a younger man. So you see a family. What are you normally thinking? What is the relation between these four people? What would you think? Old man, middle-old, younger. Very easy, okay, I will tell you. Sorry? Yeah, but like this or like somehow like this? It would be, father, daughter, son, and, Normally we just say, family is parents, kids, how does it called?
Grandkids.
Grandkids, yeah, that's like it. So we, almost all of us, besides the director and the editor, thought it's father, daughter, son, and the other character was so a bit not quite defined, so maybe some of her, maybe some. So there was also, a space where you could put your own idea in. For me, it was the son of her. For others, it was a cousin, whatever. But you see, your audience is always very, when they are awake, and that's your job, to keep them awake, is always really, on the run to put their own things in it. And that's why we love also stories which have some lacks. The lacks shouldn't be too big, because then you're going to lose your audience. Or then when you go, they already went there, and you go further on there until they are coming. Sometimes they are just lost. Then you really have always to be aware that in a way you keep them. If they look there, then you slightly come on over here. Because directing, show the way. So we almost all thought father, son, daughter, whatever. And suddenly, after a while, in the film comes uncle. Really, what uncle? Who's uncle? And for me, I just refused. I said, no, for me, it was father. I went through, 7 or 8 minutes of the film with this normal family image. And suddenly, only by dialogue, I heard uncle. And then I was confused. And then when we were talking about this, and also I was very happy that I was not the only one, because maybe it was about subtitles I didn't get. But I was very happy about this, that we could then find out that the director had a very complicated family concept. Uncle and nephew and the cousin and the whatever cousin from somewhere else. No, his own son, which was 2 generations away from the look. I thought, for me, he was kind of grandchild, grandnephew, whatever, just. But he made father, the young guy, as a son, and the 2 others were kids of a brother. So a very complicated, no, it's actually in life it's not very complicated, but for this short film, it was not at all important that this difficult family constellation, because the story was he will go die, his father, and they make this ritual to bring him over. And of course, when I see such a ritual, I think it's the center of the family that also tells more that it's father and kids and grandkids. Because we normally take, when we face something, we go for the easiest, for the normal thing. As long as someone tells us something else, we just take family, father, kids, grandkids, full stop. If there is father, is it our nephew and niece and nephew, then I need to, that's told. Or in a way, however you do it in a film, when you don't tell it, normal people goes for the normal thing. For that what is. So that's also the way what we base our stories on. We base the stories on just our, what we know. We know family, father, kids, and then how to solve this problem, that we don't get in the middle of a film an invitation. And the good thing was this word uncle was not like this, it was off. So we suggested that you just change everything in your film which goes to this direction, actually with transport your idea of this family, And it will be very simple. And in the end, we have this simple family, and everybody will be fine until the end of the film. What I mean, what I want to tell is that you have always to be aware that your audience just take more or less the norm. Unless they have themselves total different experience, then they will take this. But you have, for telling story, you have to work on a general consciousness. Otherwise you can't tell that. Everybody, it's like we don't use the same words for the same thing. We have agreements. Also in film language, we have agreements. If you break the agreements, you can do. Sometimes even you have an enormous impact by breaking agreements, by breaking the conventions. But you have to know that you do it, and you have to be aware of the impact it has. Then you can deal with that. There are often films which just, you think, okay, we go here, and suddenly the director says, no, it's there. And that is also good that we not only go straight for the agreements and for the convention, because anyway, it's boring. But what I say is you have to know it, you have to be aware of it. Actually, filmmaking is always about being in the moment, to be aware. When you shoot, don't think about what you shoot, just look, be in the situation. The same for fiction as also for documentary. You have to be connected to the situation, what you are shooting. And don't pull over your ideas. Even, of course, sometimes it's so hard when you don't see what you wanted to have, because your actors and your actor is not bringing it. Or your protagonist is suddenly just is doing different, not supporting your story. But take it. You don't have any chance. If you start, for instance, with documentary protagonists, don't push them around. They are not actors, and they will, and on one side they will just close, or they don't. They start to refuse. They get stiff. That what I also told today. I have often experienced directors went out, had research conversation with their protagonists, and then they go there and shoot, and then the protagonist is stiff and is not alive, and the worst thing is that he said, or she says, I already fought you. How great. And then I said, try, whenever you make researches for your documentary film with protagonist, try at least make sound recording. At least. But, today you can take a mobile with a good camera, not, all your time. Early, you come with such a camera and the whole equipment and the boom and whatever. Record it. Because often, my experience was that often for documentary we used the research footage. Because the research footage was, the most alive, the most spontaneous. Because normal people, non-actors, they get like, how do you say it's like they get flatter and flatter, they do the same thing. So it's really, when you make documentary film, try to make your research already shoot it. And very important, shoot it with a good sound. How many times I have great images of the protagonist, sound. They cannot dub it. With actors, you can have it fine, but not with normal people you want to interview. So now I have to try to get back to writing. So now I'm here. Now we were the second person. The second person, yes.
Yeah, okay. So.
You got it, and I take.
I was wondering about the thing that you just said about recording your research talks with someone, or just when you meet someone. And I felt very uncomfortable doing that because I just meet someone and I'm immediately like, can I clip a mic on you? I'm recording this, and it makes people very awkward and not comfortable around me to actually tell me the information I want to get. So now I'm just sort of like, let's just have a talk, and afterwards have a recorded talk, but let's just first sort of explore it a bit. Because I feel like the first thing is too awkward.
I understand. We already had this discussion here. Yes, it's not the way, the very first moment you meet someone should not be on it, because the first time, often you don't, maybe you can do it this way, that you don't talk really about the topic of your film, because first, before you can go there and talk about what you really want, you have to build up a base of trust. Then you can talk about their normal life, their whatever, the family and the situation, the actual. I think when you start talking really about the topic of your film, and that's not the very first moment. And that's what I mean for research. You don't research, the time you're going to connect with someone. That is not the intention. But as soon you're going to talk with them about stories you maybe will need in your film. And so you make just really first, that's also, it's a skill of documentary filmmakers, how you can create this, a situation where your protagonist will open up for you. And often it takes time. So it's not the meaning the first time you go there to do it, but when you get slowly to the point of your film, then I really suggest to do. And at this point, you already, I hope, you have, a relationship which allows that your protagonist says, yes, it's okay, we do it. But that's also a skill of a documentary filmmaker to, you always have to be, what's okay now, what is not okay, how to deal with it. That's a total different thing than for directors of fiction. Also, they should have a good feeling, but there are some they make it with pressure, they make it with screaming around, whatever it's. So it's very individual, but for documentary, that's a style I think you will never reach a film. But maybe, I don't know, because all the documentary filmmakers I know, they are all people, they have a kind of nice seducing behavior, because in a way you always seduce the protagonist to tell you the story. And with fiction people, that's their job. They got paid. They need also this stream for their living. So I don't love, like I worked with choleric directors on fiction film. It's just hard for the whole crew, for the actors, for all the others. I don't like it, and at a certain point I stopped to work with people like this. But on fiction, it happens. On documentary, I never saw it. Because or you want to show a tortured person, and then you torture it also. But I think it's just another, it's really another issue. Are you satisfied?
Yes.
You're happy?
Yes, it's just a topic that I find quite difficult to navigate. Like getting someone to trust, but also sometimes having chats that are not recorded, and I'm like, I wish I would have recorded this because
Yeah.
this would be perfect. But yeah.
I think as a documentary filmmaker, you know on which point you can go for this. Because you have to know your protagonist, because in a way you share a time. The directors of fiction and the actors, sometimes they share nothing, just the film. That's fine. They have a compensation by money.
So also on that topic, how do you feel about paying people that are in the documentary, whether that's something you should do, or in what way do you thank them for the time and information you request?
I'm not a documentary filmmaker, but I know about this issue because it always pops up. There is no rule for that. You know, it's I think often it's very hard when actually we also come from West. You know, we have, even when we are not rich, we are so wealthy. And then you go somewhere where you deal with very poor people. The thing is, you should make the agreement before that they don't get paid. And then it's more like a gift. I think it's maybe, but documentary filmmaker, how do you do with it? No documentary filmmakers? Ah, here.
And that's your experience. Can you hear me? Alright, so I'm not a professional filmmaker, but I have a good experience I can tell you. So, if you have any story that you want to tell to your audience, like you want to make them connect with your story, like as a lifestyle of the people living somewhere far away from privileges, like living their life in their natural manner. So I think it can be useful for you as well. Because as you said, there are paid things, paid information. So I think what can be more useful for you is that you should first try to get some hours or days to connect with them. Like introduce with them, and make good rapport building with them. Like feel their circumstances, like eat with them, like live with them, like slowly. By the time, like as we saw in the movie last, we saw the different version of the story recently. So I think there is a layer of information or what you can get from a person's life. Like the movie just was as the deepest layer of emotion. They are sharing the innermost, the actual emotional state of their, I think they are couples. So they are trying to connect with their natural behavior. Because if we see those people in real life, they are not the same. They are like pretending like being normal people with normal lifestyle. They will give you the surface level information, which is let's say that's a made up story because that is not their life. Because as you see, they have the deepest problem with their emotional life. So they're trying to show the natural state or the most inner state of their feeling. So if you want to show your audience the actual story inside their life, you need to take some time, you need to get great presence, you need to connect with them, you need to connect with their lifestyle, and slowly open up with your own, the script, whatever you want to give to your audience. You need to open up with them, and slowly they will only give you the information once they are able to know that they can trust you. You will be provided the innermost information or innermost problems only when you are able to connect with them. Like you should be able to be their most trustable person. Otherwise, they will always make up things. They will always try to normalize things. They will always try to feel like they are happy. They will have a happy life, happy relationships. So last time, like 3 years back.
sorry, can I stop? Because the answer is the question is very concrete. Shall we pay or not? So it's, you know, like a very huge journey.
Sorry.
And can you...
Yeah. So what I think personally is like it's always better to be more connected, more connect with their inner life or connect with their lifestyle to have the accurate information rather than paying them for telling something because it feels biased. It feels like you are forced to tell something because you have taken something. So I think it's always good to be natural, be real with your intentions, be real with what you want to deliver. That will be more effective. Yeah?
That's what we wish. And then we face, thank you, yes. Is it helpful? Yeah. But a lot of this, as a filmmaker, you already know. So that's, I think there is an issue when you use time of people when they would earn money because they work, and then they have a lack of salary because they are with you. I think there is normally there we say, okay, we just pay for this lack because they spend not their spare time for us. Some people even take their vacation to go for a shoot. Yeah, fine, that's great. That's very nice. I think I also know stories where they didn't make an agreement in the beginning if they got paid or not. And suddenly in the middle of the film, the protagonist said, so, no, I don't have money. What do you do? You already spend a third of your budget for shooting, and you have a protagonist who will refuse working further on. So I think the point is, there is an Italian proverb who says, fatica di amicizia lunga, and that means clear agreements, long friendship. And it's always about clear agreements. Do they work with you, or do they go with you for the film without money? And then make it clear, not only by, not only, how to say, mündlich, write it down, make a contract. Because even when they start to refuse it because they want to have money, you have a problem. But in the worst case, when they just get out, you even could, how do you say, ask for, not ask, you can send a bill for all the money you already spent for this if you have to change the protagonist. Sometimes, this protagonist is going and then you take another one and the documentary, maybe it's working, but when your film really is built on this protagonist, try to make it for you as safe as possible. That means clear contract, normally without paying, because we say sometimes when money gets in, it's difficult. Or you make really a deal. You say you get, for spending your time with our film, you get that much a day, like a compensation. But deal it out before you start shooting. Don't go in this trap of confidence at this point. Fatica, clear contracts, clear commitments. Don't forget.
Regina, can I bring you back to the three people metaphor?
Yes,
We're stuck in number 2 right now.
We were talking about number 2. Number 2 is you leave the chair of the audience and you go to the side and you watch the film you had and you analyze why is it not working? Why is my audience It's me, my audience. I sit there. My audience is not understanding this one. Why is it bored at this? Why it starts thinking about other things? That means you have somehow to, the second one who analyzes has also to watch you while you are looking the film, has to watch and look what happens with you as audience. When you lean forward, when you lean back, when you smile, when you think, huh? When you start looking around. That's also why, because they film the audience when they make test screenings. So they can see me. They make it for fictional, for documentary, but it's very, I saw once this audience shot, and then you can see some video. And then your film is no more attractive. They just leave. They just leave the film. That means the second person in you is watching you as audience, and make kind of list. That works well, that works not. Here he looks like, huh? And here he says, and here he just goes away, and here she does this and that. Really, you have to watch yourself at the reception of your film. And then you have to think about, actually that was the second one, is the watching one. And then the third one comes and thinks why it happens. What is at this point of the film why you look, huh? So there is something you don't get it. And then you start to analyze why you don't understand. For instance, we go back to the uncle. Why you are irritated? Yes, because your concept was father. Suddenly this guy is an uncle. So, okay, that's my problem. My audience go for the father, and then because of the dialogue, it changes to uncle. And then you have to search for solutions. You have then to think about, okay, do I introduce him as an uncle? How can I do that from the very beginning to the end? If I can't do that because there is no dialogue for that, there is no sign in a fiction film, you will not make a title uncle. You will also not have a voiceover who tells you the family, the uncle and the bar is here together to make this thing. Then we were searching for a solution, and the solution was skip the uncle. Go for the father because it's always a problem if you start with an idea or a picture and suddenly in your film you stop. Then you have to be very, very carefully that your audience is coming on, that your audience makes this step to go that all what they thought to know is not true. It's just something else. This is always a crucial point. Sometimes it's very fancy, it's very interesting, but then you can really go for that. That is a challenge to do it. Often it's also in fiction film you really put it in. Because it's, as I said, it's very boring when you just, from after 3 minutes, know how the story is going. That is not that what you want to see. But when you face that something is not working what it should, then you have to analyze it, and then you have to find solutions. Of course you can say, okay, I will reshoot. Oh, yeah, great. You can do it if you have the money. We know that Tarkovsky shot, Stalker for twice, over 3 years, 7 years, whatever, because he just got the money from the government. But who of you had money to shoot your film? Sometimes not even once. You put all your passion, your money, you sell all the whole family to make your film. So that's not the way, then you really have to be creative and you have to deal with what you have and to find out best solution to solve this kind of problems. And sometimes it's also helpful. It was good in our round. We saw that people have different suggestions. Ask friends. The important thing for director is not to be overwhelmed of the opinions of others. Just collect it, go home with your package, put it out and think about what would you go for. It's not never pleasing some friends or whatever, because it's your film, it's your all energy. But ask him, take it not as a critic. That's also a very crucial point that we get. We often feel attacked when someone comes and says, "Oh, it's not working." Yeah, I know it's not working, but it's that really I want to short some. I make always kind of sidewalks. That was really great in our workshop of these 3 days. That they all really treated each other with a lot of respect. It was a lot of critics. It was a lot of suggestions. It was really a lot of, because there were films in a very early stage. In a very early stage, of course you can, it's not, it's more a collection of scenes or situations, but we watch it as a film, normally. When we see film, it's film, so we do like this. But that was a real, very great, very intensive, and very respectful people. Whenever you ask for feedback, avoid all and everyone who is not supporting you. Even when it's best friends, don't ask, don't invite for screening, just really, you have really to go for these people which supports you. Even when they are, sometimes it's rough or it's, it's hard what they say. The most important thing of these people is that in their heart they will support you. And that I felt in this group. It was really great because I also know others where it's really with knives and shotguns and then you have a lot of blood and almost dead people. So it was not at all like this, and I think whenever you present your films to the audience outside, not to the one as an editor, then really choose carefully in the beginning your audience. It's very important. It's not needed that you invite your enemies. So the third one is, you have the one who is audience, you have the one who observes the audience, and then you have the one who analyzes all that. So maybe we need a fourth one, but for me the third and the fourth is the same. And we need that one actually who finds solutions. The finding solution is a very difficult thing because it's like the creation of a film at itself. Because we face always in life problems and we have to find solutions. Where do they come from? I don't know. My experience is while editing is just going on, just staying on, even when you're totally desperate, because almost all the films I edited, there was a point where I thought it would never get. Not that much in fiction, because there I was sure it would get film. It was only the question of what. But in documentary, I thought sometimes the concept we had is just nothing. It doesn't work from the beginning to the end. It's boring. really hard. And this is such hard time. Not only actually much more for the director, because in the end he's the face or she's the face who represents the film. The editors can stand back and keep her but it's not true at all. But for directors it's really tough. But also when you as an editor are engaged with your film, it's as tough. And my experience is really just go on, try things. Sometimes I have a director for documentary films, which are also really had a good success, and we often went then for a walk. We went for a walk for not the whole day, but often I worked in the morning something, I tried something, I thought about something, and then later afternoon we went for 2 or 3 hours for a walk. And then we talked about the world and God and life, and also a bit about the film. Because it's so difficult where you get your inspirations. And sometimes it's to go on working on the film helps you just to be more that you are on. But sometimes the ideas are not coming there. The ideas comes you lay in the bed and before you fall asleep, or you're sitting on the loo, or it's somewhere you're waiting somewhere of someone. You never know where the inspiration comes. The most important thing is that you are open for it. That means you don't think always already, it should be like that. Because it should be like that you can do. That you can edit, you can do, and then you see it doesn't work. To get inspiration often is just to get back open. Because when you come to the point where it is stuck, the world gets very narrow. The spirit gets narrow. And what is important is to open it up again. And I think almost every one of you knows how he can free the spirit. Sometimes I just said, go on working. That's a good thing. It works sometimes, but if it's not working, and if you get stiffer and stiffer and stiffer while working, you get locked in more and more and more. Leave it. Go away. Make another project, or go for holidays, or I don't know. Just do something totally different and don't think about your film. And what is important is keeping the confidence that the solution will come. I don't know who experienced that the solution didn't come. You see. My experience is also that suddenly it's like a tiger jumping you on from the back. It's maybe the tiger is not so nice, but it's just jumps on you. In moments where you never think it will come, suddenly it's here. But the thing is, keep you open. Try to, if you feel that it gets closer and closer, you need to do things that you open up. And then you got an idea. Maybe she's not perfectly working, you work on it. Then you can work further on and then try, and in the end, you will reach your goal of your film. And then, yeah. Oh.
I was wondering if you could talk about the editor-director relationship and possibly the dangers of editing your own film.
Editing your own film?
As a director.
Very simple. Directors, they edit their own film, often have a lack of distance. they are personally so connected. They look at the footage in a way nobody else will look. So I really, really, really think it's important that someone look at it without this whole background of the director. Because we often have this thing that the director says, look, here, there was this and that and this. And I look to the footage and say, where? And then he shows me it's too far. Something, me as just an audience, I just normally we look just middle. And we watch the image, we are from our, long history of human being, we are hunters. What are hunters doing? Hunters chase what moves. If nothing moves, we don't move. So when we look at a picture, normally we look somehow centered, in a way, a bit up, because our heads are up. So a bit over the middle we look. But if it's something moving here, immediately, chuck, the hunter is waiting. So there you can see, there you can check what you are looking. When what my director says down there in the corner is not moving, I will not see it. I will see it after a while when I already explored the whole picture and I come there, okay, then I will see it. But for him, it's clear. For him, it has an importance, but he didn't put it in the middle of the picture, so it's for me not here. That's a bit very reduced. It's even much more on the emotional side that you have the lack of distance for your film. And I really, it's not because I need a job. It's over 4 jobs. I really suggest everyone who makes, for sure, a personal film to get a person for the dialogue, to get a person who can somehow compare the footage. Is it really this what the director sees, because she is so involved and she knows so much about it, and then you don't see it because you have a lack of knowledge, what you should see. And that helps you much. I think often it's really a tough way to be confronted the whole day all alone with your footage, with your story. Sometimes it's often also family stories which already, are tough for you. You actually try, maybe you make this film to get rid of it, but then you go for years, years in this jungle of your emotions. It's a chance to have an edit, because it's a dialogue. It's much easier to get new, ideas when you make like this. You, how do you say, it's like a game. I give you the ball, you give me back, and then you can, brainstorm. Brainstorm with yourself is very difficult. But as soon you have a partner, and she is really supporting you, or you as a director, you need your editor. He can just have, because he has another background, bring something in, and then you take it, and then you go further on. It's filmmaking all along is really, really hard. And I'm not sure if you get best. I even would go that far to say no. No. I mean, my no. That's best to know, it's Nepal. No, it will not, you will not get out best, I guess. Maybe I'm wrong, but the experience I have is this dialogue is important. You asked me how I worked with my directors. For fiction, it's very clear. They shoot, I edit, and then from time to time they come, or they come in the end and watch the rough cut, and then we work together and we talk what is working, what is not working, how to do. To come to the first rough cut screen is a horrible moment for any director. It's such a hard time. You had maybe a great time on shoot, you had a great team, it worked well, everything was great in your head, there was a film you never saw before, and then you come in the editing room, and you don't see what you saw during the shoot because you were so excited by shooting, and you put this excitement on your footage, and then you see the film. And for a lot, it's really, I'm often very sorry for my directors at this point, because they often are totally disappointed because they thought it is like it's not, it's great. It's still great, but it's not that great that they thought. And then it's a very difficult moment for both of them to say, yeah, it is what it is now, but now we have the opportunity together to improve that. To look, can we, the idea you had, and I didn't find it in the footage. Maybe I'm wrong, I didn't see it. So, what was the idea? What should it be? Can we do it? And then you search, if we combine it this way or that way or so, then we come much closer to this idea, and then it works much better. And sometimes it's just that directors have to let go the idea and to say, okay, but with this footage, we can create this great thing. And then you go for that. So it's always also really a hard process to let go what you wanted. That's, in documentary filmmaking, is not that much, but even there you can argue with you a lot. So in fiction is let go when it's not working, and look what you can do with the footage you have. And often you find even solutions which are better than that what you want. That is the very good thing when you go together and you find out how you like that or you don't. Let's try here, let's bring in that. The most important is that you not get stopped there where you had your ideas. That you go along with your footage and to bring out best of that. That's for fiction filmmaker is really crucial, and editors, you have to be nice at this moment, at this point, because it's often hard to tell your director that what you tell me now, I think is not in the footage. And then you even check and you don't find it because it's really not in the footage. But really the supportive thing of an editor is then to say, come, let's go. What can we do? What do we have? Where we can go? How to do it? That's for for fiction film. And in documentary film, I often work like this, but it depends the directors. There are directors, they will sit almost here. I don't see anything. But for me, that's a very hard way to do, because I need a certain freedom to work, to create. But I say always, I'm not an operator. As soon as a director starts to say, take away 3 frames here, and here 5 frames, and then I say, look, it's very easy to handle the machine, do it yourself. Because it drives me crazy. When I I'm not allowed to, to bring in my ideas to the project, and I really start to suffer horribly. And not only suffer, I get very angry, I get totally aggressive, and that's not good for both of us. So I avoid these things. So that's also important for you when you combine, when you search your partners. Does it fit? Some needs, a concrete guidance. They want to know, now it comes this, and then it comes that. So for me, that was never the way to do. This is, I'm just much too much, I don't know. I invent my world always myself also. But I can deal with other ideas. I can support them, I can go with it. But if they block my impact, then it's over. Then I have to leave the job. Or I don't do it, I just don't start it. But often before they talk, of course you can do it, and then I come, and then I feel like in prison. But, it's also very important for you that you know what kind of partner is good for you, is good for the work, is good for the film. Then you are all happy, even when you will have a hard time anyhow. In documentary, more, or also in fiction, when there is enormous budget and there are enormous ambitions, then it's also tough. And for me, the thing most difficult is that you normally have so much people talking, and we have, first it was one producer from television side. Meanwhile, we have 4. Each of them has another opinion. What shall we do? But that's another story. For documentary, I like to say, okay, I know how we talk a lot about the film and the story and the goal in a way, very general. And then, as I told, I take the footage and I edit the situation. The way they shot it, I try to squeeze not reduce, to make, I said, a break, and then the director comes and she says, oh, but I hear for me was more important this or that. We don't do it before, because most of the directors I'm working with, they know that I just first take the footage myself and I interpreted it my way. And they accept this because it's nothing lost. Then they come and sometimes they think, oh, I didn't know that this is it. They are pleased, or they say, no, I think it's much more, we need to tell it more in this direction. And then we talk, and then I try to follow this idea, and I re-edit, and then we look again. So this process, and then when I have some of the bricks, I always already start to think, this is here, this is there, this is there, and then we try to make the whole. And then it's like it is. A lot of watching, a lot of talk, a lot of argue. Then that's great. So, Betty, Vivi?
Yeah. If there are any questions,
you can have some questions or
any questions for Regina. We can also take questions in Nepali, anything at all. Ways we can wind up.
You are so full.
Thank you, Regina. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you please feel free to ask. Do you miss
there is a question. Yes.
I think, yeah.
Sometimes in is very sensitive culture,
want to show it or not show it.
And it's very important. Definitely, we have a consent. But sometimes we need to decide that, okay, maybe we should not show this. You know, like, how to decide.
For me, it's great that you ask a question, to show or not to show, to do this or that. For me, there is never a rule. I can't just say, show it, don't do it. It's like the money. It depends so much your film. And then I think, maybe I can tell this, I had once, sometimes when I didn't have a good job, I worked for television and also edited news. And then we had footage from a civil war in Africa, and I had footage where I could see how 3 men really hit a man to death. And my, the doctor, the guy who made the film, the journalist wanted to have it in. And I said, don't do that. Because it's not needed that I see. This war is cruel, we all know. It's not needed that I sit beside somebody gets beaten to death. Maybe you can show how they catch him or whatever, but don't wait until they leave this dead body there. And he wanted to have it in for, I don't know, news is always very short, but he wanted to have it in for 50 seconds. Because it's not that I don't want to show that, but I think in context of news, where it also goes like this, and you have not the possibility to breathe afterwards, or to get in a way to react as an audience, I wouldn't do that. And this question about showing, when sometimes you can find a metaphor for it, you can find other images for showing sense or with voices or so, that I think often that we are in a time, for instance, in our countries, every evening we had a dead body account of how many, one how is it called, criminal film, you have only these police films where they kill people, like this, in fiction, and we get so used to it. Dying is so easy, boom, boom. And I think it makes something with us to watch always these things, and I think it's really not good. But if you use this because it's a topic of your documentary, you have violence or whatever brutal things, you always have to go with you also. Is it needed to show it until the end, or is it better to tell it in a different way? You can translate it somewhere, you can make a kind of transfer. It's always a question of how to do it. And I had once a hard argue with a TV producer, because we made a film, and there a young man killed someone on the boat with an instrument where you're going to chase huge fish. And they showed it very bloody. So, and then I said, when we go for that, then we will do it that long that everyone who watches it go and throw up. Not because often we just stop then as long we are in our comfort zone. And I said, we just show much less, or I would really want to go until everybody switch off. That the audience get a real good reaction on something like this. But we show it, very nice framed, very nice, it's light, very nice. And we just look and we sit in our comfort zone and we look how people get killed. He said, we can't do that. We can't offend our audience like this. And I think we should offend our audience like this to get from time to time at least an awareness that killing somebody is not a nice thing at 8 o'clock in the evening in nice light, in nice framing. Of course they couldn't do it. But I think sometimes it should be done. So to handle delicate, sensitive topics is really, it depends. Actually, your position. It depends. What you want to hand over. How to do it. It's not just making this or that. For me, and here also comes maybe the question how to deal yourself when you have topics which, makes you no more sleeping well or just feel like you're gonna die. A beautiful minute. I can't it. So I made it was 3 films during Nazi time. One was a film about a young girl. She was such a revolutionary. There is a very famous young girl in Germany who got killed by the Nazis because she threw flyers against the system, and then she got locked in, and she had a trial, and she got beheaded. Yeah. This girl, almost same story, not known in Germany at all because she was a communist. So communists, they didn't even get, and I edited this film, and in the end, this young girl, she was 19 when she got beheaded. She had a diary, and years before she was into it, she wrote the way to the guillotine. Is it guillotine? The way to the moment where she got killed. She wrote over it. And she was very aware during the time in jail. She was very aware, and then you have to somehow to show this. And I edited this, and then I edited another film where one who said who was against the system got killed, and the third one where about the guy who invented the gas for the gas chambers. And this was the film about the 2 women were so hard to do, because you don't get along. When I edit fiction about, some kind of criminal story, I can much more get in distance. But in documentary, you are so involved, and there you have really to be careful and to protect yourself, that it's not overwhelming you, so that you maybe work less or, take a break. But after these 3 films, I said, I will not do it, because it's really exhausting, and I thought, no, I just don't do it. Yeah, we also have to know where are our limits. Also, do we really want to tell our story? And sometimes, even now when I think